everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam and I have a very fun reading vlog for you guys today. This has been a while in the making. I'm not typically known for having super cool, out there, randomized TBRs that are inspired by things or spinner wheels stuff. I do want to get into them. I do promise, I love those types of vlogs. They're some of my favorite to watch, and now that I have the spare time to do these kinds of vlogs, here we are with the first, which is King Mala picks my TBR based on some of her songs. Now, King Mala is one of my favorite artists of all time, has been my obsession artist for 2 years. I think she is the only musical artist I've properly listened to this year. I guess you could say her music is a bit of a hyperfixation. I truly adore her music. It is a no-skip artist for me. I could listen to every single song and be so happy and content. I listen from one end to the very end of the playlist. It's just she's my favorite. She's so good. She's incredible. I love her voice, I love the beats, I love the lyrics, I love how they make me want to dance and sing along. I love the words so much. The lyrics just are, there's humor to them, and I just love that about her. She's got a very independent and feminist take on her music, and I love it so much. And she also just relates to my age category, I think, being a young adult in America. Definitely, we're all kind of going through the same thing. We're all a little bit mentally ill, I believe. And it's just nice to listen to a song about having dirty dishes and needing to clean your room and pay your bills. It's just, sometimes it's painfully relatable. Hello, sweetheart. And she's just one of the artists that I will constantly have stuck in my head. It's truly between King Mala and Wicked. Those are the only two things going through this brain at all times. And I'm here for it. I'm having a great time. This is fun. I thought it would be really fun to pick some of my favorite songs, or just songs that I enjoy. My favorite one, it's different week to week. Currently, it's Bug. I do think we're kind of on the outskirts of Bug, and I think, what is it called? This one, I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now, but that's kind of the new favorite at the moment. Again, it's a cycle though. Every week or two, I'm switching and it's something else that's my new favorite. So that's what's going on with me. So I thought it would be really fun to just pick a couple of songs, pick some books that I think go along with it, whether it's just by title or if it's the lyrics itself or just the overall tone and vibes. Some of them are a little bit more out of pocket and out of nowhere than others. Some make a lot of sense. Some are a bit of a stretch for fun. I had a lot of fun picking out the books and also getting recommendations for the songs. I truly just wanted to do this, and whilst I was perusing a little bit to learn about King Mala, make sure I had the right pronouns and everything, I learned that a new album is coming out May 2nd. If you need me for the next 2 weeks, I will be listening to her music on repeat. That's all I'm going to be doing besides reading for Escape the Readathon. That will also be happening, so watch out, everybody. But I will be, interspersing a lot of my non-reading time with King Mala's new album. It's so exciting. The coincidence of me being this is when the video can go out, and it's around the same time of her new album. Impeccable. The world, the universe, they get me. With that said, I'm gonna go. I hope that you guys enjoy this video, this reading vlog, and I will see you guys later.
I'm begging mercy. Is there any good inside of me?
Alright, hello! Howdy ho, guys. I am so excited to talk to you about the most recent book that I have read, but more so why I picked it. Some of my picks are so outlandish and just because, and some really fit the vibe, this is one that fit the vibe. So I picked up, now I have to remember the title, I've picked up Goddess of Filth by V. Castro, which is the same author who wrote Haunting of Alejandra, which I read when it came out. I had an arc for this, so I had already kind of been familiar with this author. I didn't know when I picked Goddess of Filth that this was a novella, so I was like, score, perfect. And I overall think this is a good story, but I do have a few complaints. But before we get into my complaints and review of the book, Mercy by King Mala. Oh my goodness. Another banger. They're all bangers. Nothing is new. I truly adore all of these songs, but Mercy is all about being just unapologetically yourself. You're scary, behave yourself. You're hot, and you do questionable behavior, the whole support women's rights and supports women's wrongs. This kind of feels like that kind of song. It's a good for you song. It's a good for her energy, and I love it. And this book really fit that whole good for her energy, the whole not quite a revenge story. This one specifically, Goddess of Filth, is about it's a big metaphor for like coming of age and a feminist take on it, but you also have it through the lens of being like Hispanic American. I want to say V. Castro's Mexican American. You've got that, but they're always set in they're all set in Texas. That's her thing because she's from Texas. Anyway, this is following, I believe, 5 or 6 friends, and we're following them at like right at the beginning. They are doing a ritual similar to the movie The Craft, which we're all big fans of, right? This, I think, was trying to play into like the Craft vibes more, but that's a scary movie. It's got a lot more like witchy craft stuff going on. This doesn't quite have that feel, but basically the ritual either goes horribly wrong or kind of right, and one of their friends, Fernanda, ends up possessed in a way, if you will, and basically just starts acting different, acting a little bit more strange. She's wearing black makeup, and obviously having like a Hispanic American culture, I would assume that a lot of the religious undertones and religious conversations are from a Catholic lens. And so there's priests who are like, oh, she's absolutely like possessed by the devil, we've got to do something about it, and she's just kind of like living her life. But her friends are noticing how different she's acting. And I don't want to spoil too much just because this is a novella and there's not a whole lot of story going on. But the main gist is that this is a coming of age feminist story. And if you don't think about the whole like she is finding herself and her prowess and like her womanhood through the lens of somebody else controlling her body, if you don't think about that too hard, it's a good overall story. I can feel the intention that I think V. Castro is trying to give in the book, so I'm kind of ignoring the like questionable feminist side of this, but I did like the story for what it was. I think it could have been longer. I think because it's so short and we're trying to do certain things, trying to hit the beats, the dialogue at times really took me out because it felt kind of stilted and like unnatural is like the best way I could put it. It just like that's not how people would talk, but you could see so clearly that the author was like, I need this conversation to happen this way so that we can get on to this next point of the plot. And that part took me out a little bit and was kind of just like, I don't know a whole lot about it. I also wish that it was longer so that we could focus more on the female friendships of this story. We're following 5 or 6 really good friends, and you're really seeing 2 of them primarily, like, you know how in a group of friends you still have like your best friend of the group and like you're all kind of still cliquey but together. I just wish we saw more interactions between all of the girls and how close their friendship really is. They're, I want to say, like seniors in high school. Sometimes because I was listening to the audiobook, I would get a little bit confused on what was a flashback and whose perspective we were in. It didn't really clarify that information for me through the audiobook, so there was moments where I was like, I thought we were with this character but we're with this character, and like it just, there was a bit of a learning curve for me to get used to the writing style, but because it's so short, there wasn't really time to get used to it. It goes on the trajectory that you would expect it to. The story hits all the beats that you would, you know, kind of understand and expect from a story like this. I enjoyed this take. I really enjoyed the possession side of the story. There was a lot of good to the story, even though I had issues with mostly the pacing and dialogue. Just, you could feel that things were trying to be rushed so we can get to the next thing. And I enjoyed the action. I think the best comp to this entire book would be Jennifer's Body. Like, that really sums up what this story is. So if you enjoy Jennifer's Body, if you want to see it from, I'm a white American, so I can't really speak to the representation of like Hispanic culture and so on and so forth. I've seen a couple reviews where some people were disappointed by it because it felt a little bit too stereotypical. Obviously, this is a novella, so there's not a lot of depth to these characters, not a lot of nuance going on. But overall, I think it was a good short story. I think it was a good novella. I think it could have been expanded upon and would have been better. I think we could have eased into the craft-like ritual and gotten to know these characters a little bit before just jumping right into the action and seeing this change, because I didn't really know Fernanda pre-possession, and so I just kind of wish there was a little bit more time with everything. But overall, I think I'm giving it a 3.5. I'm going to round up to a 4 on Goodreads just because I do think overall the bones of the story is good. there's, you know, those few complaints that I had that I was just like, I don't know. But I do think that the story really does embody Mercy by King Mala. I think that they go really well together. I think that it's fitting. I'm so proud of myself for this rec. I'm so proud of myself for pairing these ones together. Just having Fernanda embody, like, wanting to take control of her life and not live the way that people tell her to, really coming into her womanhood. This has like the period talk, but she's definitely older and it's not her first time getting a period, so it's a strange coming of age time span, but definitely a little bit more on the promiscuous side. So that was my review. Very quick, a nice little quick novella. I'm pleased about that just because I have some chunkers on this one. I don't know how to end vlog clips anymore because we're still learning how to get back into the swing of things. But yes, that is my review. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, I don't know how to end these. Goodbye.
I'm a cold leader, mind reader, heart reader.
Hello, my hair is crazy right now. I've just been sat reading like most of my day away. That's kind of where I plan to be. I'm about 50%, a little bit less, into Black Sheep by Rachel Harris. I'm having an incredible time. I didn't know a lot of what this was going to be about going into it, except for we have our main character who is returning to her very religious family's community, and that was kind of all I knew besides like she's going back for her cousin's wedding. And the synopsis doesn't give a lot away, so I won't either. But 50%, no, 50 pages in, we get one of the first reveals, and it just felt incredible. It felt really good. It made me laugh. This book has a lot of like subtle humor to it, I would say, and it's just an easy read. This is a pretty short book, and I'm flying through it. I Nothing has really happened except for like small little things, like little coincidences that like I'm having a lot of fun trying to puzzle what these things mean in my head and like where we're gonna go from here, like what further reveals we can get from this. But I'm having a blast. It's not quite as culty so far as I was hoping it would be for the song Cult Leader. Obviously, she's not quite that, but her mom is kind of giving the vibes of the cult leader, if you will. Like, Constance, I believe her name is. She was an old Hollywood horror movie actress, and so she just gives leader energy. Like, she has this aura around her, this presence all the time. She's considered an ice queen, but she has like legacy in this religious community, and so she's kind of giving cult leader vibes, which I think fits for the song at least. But also, it's a juicy story with a lot of like undertone things happening that I just am very intrigued about, and I just want to know more of like what I think I have an idea of what it could be, but I'm really intrigued to see if I'm right or if I'm like so off base. Again, I still have a full 50% to go. So like a lot could happen in these few pages. So I'm very excited. I'm having a great time though. I don't know. It's working for me. I think Vesper is incredibly relatable. I think her and I have a lot of personality similarities. So I'm having a lot of fun with her type of humor and stuff. I was always hesitant picking up a Rachel Harrison, but I think this was the right one to start with. I'm very excited to read some of her backlog and keep up with like new releases now. I'm losing my voice. I have a frog, so I'm gonna go. But I just want to check in and let you know that I'm having a really good time with this. Okay, hi. It is days later, but I did finish this like not long after last checking in with you guys. What do I want to say about this? Does this work good for Cult Leader? Absolutely. I would say that this isn't like a shocking horror or a super thrilling story, even. It is a little bit more on the literary side, it's a little bit more slow, and you kind of get the first reveal like 50 pages in, and then you can probably guess like where it's gonna go from there, like what's happening and why. And none of it was surprising, but it all made sense and it worked for what the story was and like what it wanted to be. I think that because of where this is headed from the beginning, I'm trying to be so vague, But where it's headed, I think it does work really well for Cult Leader because her family is of high importance. She herself is of high importance. And so I think it works well for Cult Leader, which is such a good song. Anyway, I really did enjoy this though. I think the first half was a lot stronger than the second half, unfortunately. So it really started on a high bang for me and then kind of fell off a little bit towards the end. It just wasn't quite as interesting. Like, they talk about the wedding in the synopsis and how she's invited, and like this is her homecoming basically since leaving this religious community from that she was raised in. And the wedding is kind of like at the halfway mark, and then it kind of shifts from there. And I was really enjoying like being in this small town, and I kind of wish that we saw more of the community, a little bit more of like the people within and what their beliefs were and what like the rituals were. Like, I just kind of wanted more of the actual like cult side of things, even though they wouldn't consider themselves a cult. But I just kind of wish that we saw more from them than what we did see. I will be honest with you that there is some animal death in here, animal cruelty, so just be caution of that. I wouldn't say it's too graphic or too hard to read, but obviously you're gonna know your sensitivity levels to that better than I will. But I didn't think it was too bad. I've read way worse. But there was a little bit of that in here. I overall did enjoy this. I think it's like a 4.5, honestly. Like, I had such a good time reading it, but since sitting on it and it being a couple of days since I finished and the second half just not pulling through, I have kind of lost steam for my love of this book. Like, it was kind of like really fun in the moment and I really enjoyed that, and now that it's over, it's kind of like meh, okay, like that happened. So I think it's like 4.5 on initial entertainment and enjoyment after completing, which is usually what I rate based off. And so for that reason, I am rating it down on Goodreads, so it's going to be a 4-star instead of a 5 for 4.5. But yeah, overall, I did really enjoy it, and I will definitely be reading more from this author. Now, my food is ready. I gotta go.
Get in bed with my dread, nothing really matters.
Okay, hi, I'm here. Oh my gosh. Sloppy. This is seriously one of my favorite songs of all times. It is always a bop. It is always so fun to sing. I truly love King Mala's voice. I know I've talked about it. I know. I can't shut up. This is truly my hyperfixation, like, musical artist to just like passionately talk about, so I'm sorry. But basically, Sloppy is one of my favorite songs. It's just so good. It's all about the universe just effing you over so hard. It's truly just such a fun bop. Like, I know that a lot of King Mala's songs really do focus on like independence and women empowerment, but also like often revolving around relationships of some sort, which is enjoyable. But there's just something about this song, Sloppy. It's comical. The lyrics are gold. The vocals are incredible. The beat is amazing. It's my joy. It's pure joy. I love it dearly. And so it's one of my all-time favorites. So I'm very happy to be reading a book that I know is not quite yet an all-time favorite, but is a series that I've been enjoying so far. I've decided I was going to read Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This is technically the second book in the Magnolia Parks series, but it's following Daisy Hates. So basically, from my understanding, following these two girls who I thought were besties, it doesn't seem like they're best friends. Maybe not yet. I don't know if that changes, but they're basically giving us their stories during their timeline of events, and they do overlap at times. So I can understand like tandem reading being kind of fun if you can keep that kind of stuff in track, maybe on a reread. This is often compared to Gossip Girl. Magnolia Parks is a wealthy, elite, what are they called? Socialites? And Magnolia is dating this guy BJ, but they're on and off again. They're hot and cold. It's just the connection they have for each other is so deep. How intimate they know each other is truly a spectacular experience, and it's like what I think we all kind of like want out of relationships. But Daisy, on the other hand, has a mafia brother whose name is Julian, and we get his perspective, and I'm gonna be honest, so far they're not my favorite. And then we have her romance. She has an ex-partner, Romeo, and you get to see glimpses of their dynamic, and that I feel like is Jessa Hastings' way being like, look, she could have her BJ. Like, she could have a similar dynamic, but we're not doing that here. She is in love with a guy, Christian, but they're not in love yet. I just know that they're gonna be. But it seems like Christian is best friends with BJ, and BJ is dating Magnolia, but Christian has a big old crush on Magnolia and is like low-key in love with her and trying to get over her by having like friends with benefit, flings, one night stands with Daisy hates. Messy. Oh my god, it's so messy already from the beginning. Crazy. So we're getting the 3 perspectives in Daisy Hates book, and I'm kicking my feet. I really love the interactions between Daisy and Christian. They have just a really sweet dynamic that I'm enjoying, but it's different from BJ and Magnolia, so it's nice that I can kind of be like separating them and not trying to compare them constantly. I'm enjoying this. This has like that mafia ties to it. Daisy Hates is like always at potential risk of like being murdered on the streets, and Julian has like ties. He's like an arms dealer or something, and their parents died at like a really brutal way in front of them when they were kids, and so they've just grown up fast. They have responsibilities. Daisy Hates is studying to be a doctor, which I think is cool. The book does try to tell me that she's got a high IQ because she wants to be a doctor, but she's not giving smart girl energy. I'm sorry to say it, but it's messy. It's drama. It's sloppy. It's all about it is a romance at its heart. Like, it is about finding connection with people and finding love in the universe and having that spark. But you've also got like the drama of just like friends and things going on. I do love how badass Daisy is. Like, Magnolia is truly a little princess. She would go shopping. Like, she can't fight. Daisy can fight. Daisy will scrap. Daisy will knock a man out. I love that. I love it so much. I love that she's like always on guard for the worst to come because of her experience in the past. Like, seriously, 45% in the book was really when I checked in. The scene that happened in that point, it's like, I think maybe 43 to 47% in, where an event happens, and that was when I was like, wait, hold on, I'm locked in. I'm obsessed again. Like, it took me a while to kind of get back into it, to get to know these characters, to have a relationship and care with their dynamic and what was going on. But once we hit that moment, I was locked in. I haven't finished the book, but like, I am more locked in because of that. This book has a lot more action going on. I really don't understand the point of Julian. I hate to say it, like, why are we here with him? Like, I think, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I read Magnolia Parks, but I think Julian has a thing with Magnolia, and I think that's why we're maybe getting his perspective, because you've got Magnolia and BJ, they're hot and cold, and then you've got Julian, BJ, and then like Christian kind of in this like big messy love triangle. So maybe that's why we're getting part of his perspective, and also like getting to know his dynamic with Daisy. And I do like their relationship. I like having the sibling dynamic more than Magnolia's sibling dynamic. So I do think overall I fear I might be liking this one more than Magnolia. Magnolia and BJ are truly like OTP. Like, you cannot beat a romance like them. You cannot beat that kind of connection. As nice as Christian is, he's like a sweet guy. He's caring, and I like seeing his love for Daisy develop over time. Daisy was a little bit more falls first, but I love seeing the relationship grow and like where it's going. Like, they had a friendship before we start the book, but we're seeing the love come, whereas with BJ and Magnolia, like, it's already there. Like, we are not learning it. We do get flashbacks to kind of ease us in and believe it a little bit more, but it's fun being on the ride of the couple kind of falling in love a little bit, but it's still messy. I am like 75% in, so I still have a little bit to go. And it is a longer book. I think it's like approaching 14 hours audiobook, so they're chunky. There's just drama on every page. There's always something going on. It's exciting. It's really exciting. I am really fascinated by the dynamics between Romeo and Daisy as well, and like having just the messiest of love triangles. Like, God, these people cannot communicate to save their lives, but they feel so real. I understand like why it's compared to Gossip Girl. I think it's a good connection. I don't know what else to compare it to, but it's very much socialites. It's very much the rich and just messy drama. Like, you know, when you watch Netflix reality TV and you're like, these are full grown adults, and yet somehow they're acting like they're in high school. Like, they've never gone further than that mind development. And it kind of feels like that at times, where I'm just like, girl, you're 20, like, communicate a little bit better, but also don't. It's so fun. It's so messy. So I truly think that this was a perfect pick for a song called Sloppy, wanting to be called mommy, and, you know, making it a little sloppy, a little messy. It's giving. I'm having a good time with this. I'm really excited to finish it. It definitely has like highs and lows points where like there's more action in this, I think, just because of like the mafia side, and I do find that to be more engaging, but at the same time there's still lows, whereas I feel like with Magnolia Parks I was pretty invested the entire time. Even when it slowed down, I was still like really into the drama of the relationships, whereas when this one slows down, I'm like, okay, can we like get back to the cute couple? I think I'm rooting for them just really hard, whereas BJ and Magnolia, like, I understand that dynamic. I understand the hot and cold, the on and off again. Whereas this one, I'm like, just admit you're in love and be together. Like, what is the problem? Like, why are we playing the song and dance? Like, I don't get it. I want them together so bad. I love when they're together. The moment where they're like closing their eyes and like pointing out each other's freckles, you cannot tell me that's not love. Anywho, I'm kicking my feet. I'm having a great time. I'm gonna finish this at some point. But yeah, now this is a very long update for me to say that I love the song Sloppy and I'm really loving Daisy Hates. I truly never thought I would be that girl. Like, I didn't think this would be the series for me. I didn't think I would be as interested, but there's just something about the relationships and dynamics that really have me rooting for everybody. It has you on your feet all the time, on your toes. You're like, what drama is going to bring these characters apart? And I think it just there's so much there. There's so much going on. This has been a really long clip, so I'm gonna go. Hello, welcome to the end of my workday. It's the next day. I finished Daisy Hates and I still really enjoyed it, but I think taking like the break from yesterday to today really did a disservice for me because I just didn't care as much about like the last 40 minutes of what was going on. I think just because that's like the inevitable third act conflict, the breakup, the whatever event is going to lead us to the next book. So I think I was just kind of like not wanting that, but it was still very good. It was definitely more action heavy than I remember Magnolia Parks being, which I think is a plus for me. I think I enjoyed that about it. I have been spotted. What I was trying to just wrap up saying is that I was a little bit less interested towards the end and just wrapping up the Daisy Hates story, but it is probably my favorite mafia adjacent story I've read in a very long time, especially.
Deadly devotion, you make a beautiful mother.
And then after that, keep in mind, I read an audiobook today at work, unrelated to this video, and then listened to the last of Daisy Hates. So, this next book, I was a little bit burnt out and very tired by the halfway point, so I had to simply just like stop listening. I started Martyr, for the song Martyr, because the names are the same. And simply, I think that's really just the only similarities I can make, and I'll go on about the song later, but started Martyr, and this is just a literary story. There's no magic to it. There's nothing, it's not classified as horror. There's like sad things happening though, and I think this is an important story, but boy have I been burnt out today and just so tired that I was like, I can't finish this right now. Like, the narrator is good, the story itself is like good, but also bigger brained and makes you want to think, and I couldn't. I had to put it down. I had to step away. So I'm gonna finish Martyr probably tomorrow. Luckily, because of the speed I'm listening, I'm not spending 10 hours with it, or else I don't think I would want to finish. Not because it's a bad story, it's not something that like is interesting to me at this moment. I'm still in my fast-paced stories, trying to stick with like thrillers and fantasy the best I can, just because I'm still getting back into like the swing of reading, and this is like heavier and makes you think. And so yeah, that's what I was trying to finish saying in the car, but I'll check in with you guys when I have more coherent thoughts to say about Martyr. Just right now I don't have those. Okay, Martyr. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. I will kind of disclaimer this part saying like, I acknowledge that I read this at the wrong time. I am definitely in a romantic fantasy mood, maybe even a little bit of horror, but like I'm not really in my lit fic girl mood, and I've learned this. I've read like 2 or 3 recently, and they just haven't been hitting for me, and I think it's just a me problem at this point. I think it's just not the right genre I need to be immersing myself into at this moment. But I will say, Martyr is well written. It's a debut novel, and for that, I think it's good. I think that a poet being able to sit down and write a full-length novel that is such a like, I don't want to call it a fever dream, because I feel like that dismisses some of it. So it's not quite a fever dream, but this is one of those books that when I finished it, I immediately went to Reddit and needed to know what people's theories were. Like, I needed to know what people thought the ending meant to them and how they interpreted it. And it seems like there's a lot of different ways that people have taken it. This is following a young boy who has known grief and loss intimately and has always, maybe not always, but has a interest in martyrdom, and meets this woman who is dying of cancer, and she decides to be like an exhibit at a museum and just talks to people as she's dying. And he has always, wanted to die for a cause, for a reason, be a martyr. And that is main focus of this. We're getting our chapters with Cyrus, but we're also getting kind of flashback chapters from his parents, so his mom and dad who are dead, and his uncle who fought in a war, I believe in Iraq. We're getting a lot of perspectives on the lives of these lives lost, and how he has this desire to be a martyr, and talking to this woman who's dying, and I guess in some ways being a martyr on her own. And there's a lot of discussions going on with this book. It's a little bit bigger brain than I always am capable of, or let alone like explaining and having proper discussions on. But this is also talking about addiction a lot, and Cyrus has an addiction problem, and we're seeing spurts of that. And there were moments when I was a little confused by whose perspective we were in, whose chapter, who was telling me what. That's an error on me, because I was listening to the audiobook and I was getting lost with it, and so that's, I think, more me problem. But I will say that the ending of the book was interesting for the sheer fact that, like, I was able to go and see what people were thinking and saying and how people interpreted it, and I think that was the most interesting part for me, which I feel a little bad saying, because this is a good book. I do think that it's well done. I just think that I was not in the right headspace for such a book, and like a heavier book, and I'm not really into books that are talking about grief for the most part. Like, grief horror is something that I'm trying to keep at an arm's distance for a little while, just until I'm ready to jump back into it. And so I think that also kind of was, making their, I was having my own personal little issues with this, but I do think overall this is a good book. I would love to hear what people thought of the ending and how they interpreted it, and if they thought, I can't say things because I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know what I think, to be honest. Like, there was moments of dream-like sequences going on throughout the book, and so I was just constantly on my toes of like, what is going on? And I think that's part of the reason why I was getting confused as much as I was, and I think that was probably just me, either like the lack of being able to give it the full attention it deserves and needs because of just where I'm at in my life, or if it's intentionally trying to confuse me because of the end. I don't know. It's a book that I'm like happy that I've read and know what people are talking about. This is a very beloved and hyped book. I think a lot of people, for the mass majority, are really enjoying it. It's getting a lot of 5-star reviews, and I think that's incredible. I would love to read their poetry. The ending it's just like, guys, what? So anywho, I think I did like the ending, but I can understand people not liking it and why. So I don't know. I've just got a lot of like confusing feelings toward this at the end of the day. I'm happy I read it though, and I'm happy that I can also move on from it. And I'm gonna try and read a lot of romantasy after this video. Like, I think that's the plan. I'm just gonna dive in to romance and fantasy and find some stuff with dragons. I just like need overthrowing governments, but like also shut my brain off kind of stuff right now. So that was Martyr. I'm happy that I read it. I would be interested to hear more people's thoughts on it, especially those who are thriving in brain cells as of late. Not to dunk on myself entirely, but I'm still getting back into like the critical thinking mode of life, and not like I just feel like I've been so zapped lately. It's just like completely exhausted, and I'm trying to get over burnout. And so I don't think dense books will be the move for the future, for the near future, but it's also summer and I just want to read some fun light books for a little bit. So that's where we're at. Anywho, thank you guys for listening to my thoughts. if you have actual thoughts on Martyr, I would love to hear them. I'm so curious what people think of the ending, especially. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna spoil things if I keep talking.
You're just a bug. Wasn't on my head like
Have you ever seen a praying mantis and thought, ooh, that is one mighty fine insect? What did I just read? Masterpiece. I understand why, obviously, in the authors, like, the about the author section at the back, she mentions how she's waiting for, like, that one 5-star review, but until then, she's like, I'm gonna keep writing to entertain the 2% who enjoy my books and the 98% who don't. And I just feel like that's really true to what she's doing. Is this a good book? No. Absolutely not. But it's like, I read 24 pages in no time at all, and it made me literally laugh out loud so many times. It was very comical. What do you mean this lady has always had romantic desires towards praying mantis, and by some type of fate it happens? I mean, that's just how it be sometimes, I suppose. It was very comical, very funny. I laughed a lot, and for that reason I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna rate this because it's not like, it wasn't a titillating read, you know? It wasn't like trying to get you also off or anything like a romantasy book might, but it's just comical. It was funny. It was pure joy. Overall, for what it was fun. It made me laugh. It was a good time. So we're gonna just leave that at that. But I guess that's the end of this video. Bug is, at this current day, for the last like week or two, probably my favorite King Mala song. It rotates often though, so if you ask me again in a week or two, it will probably be different. But I've really enjoyed Bug. Something about the lyrics and just the tone and tune I've really enjoyed. It's very fun to sing about and sing along to. I've enjoyed it very much, and I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. I know it was a little random maybe, but truly I love King Mala. She's my favorite musical artist of the times right now. She has been for the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm excited for her new album. I will be blasting that for a long time to come, and if you need me, that's where I'll probably be. But thank you guys for joining me on this little random TBR journey. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I know that I haven't had a lot to say about mating with the mantis, but truly, I don't know what else to I don't know how else to say anything. So we're gonna leave this video here. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys for my next video very soon. Bye!